episode 148 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm your host, Tommy Nanny, bringing you a fun and exciting show tonight as we preview the 2025 MLB season. Touched a little bit on the Phils last week. Now we're going to do the entire season. As always, when we do these shows, we start with our draft. Then we go to our divisions. And in that division, we'll talk a little bit about each team, thoughts, etc., some playoffs, and all the way through. And then we'll finish with any thoughts on awards. Let's go around the horn. I got my usual co-host, Jason Sada.
Hey, Tom, what's going on?
How are you? I got Jimmy the Chalk.
What's going on?
And I got Christopher Michael Meeker back.
What's happening, guys?
What is going on? As always, tonight's episode is brought to you by GSPT. Try the rest of the try the best. Maybe she'll have some opening day specials for us. All right. We did not do the draft off air, which is kind of a miss on our part.
Yeah, we forgot.
If you can do it rather quickly, and I'll figure out things I can say.
Yeah, vamp for a minute, and I'll.
What I can say, Chalky, don't let this distract you, but hopefully you listened last week where we covered our first Derby prep race, where myself and Jason, gotta say, gave out kind of good picks. Maybe we reversed the order of first and second, sort of, but if you followed my top three horses, it's the Try. Say with Jason, the Try came back for like 137 on the dollar, pretty good. And if you follow Chalky's picks, it's just say
I can be the winner. Sort of. I can be the winner
from the track, like breaking or something. Well, trying to get over the track. It's up somehow.
And also, I wasn't on the show after the Super Bowl, but as we do our MLB draft show, I will like to congratulate myself for winning my first draft here on Broad Street Hustle for the free dinner. So a couple of us do have some free dinners. As Chalky does the draft order on on a stone. What's happening?
I'm ready. We're not going to do it live, but I'll do it now.
How many iterations did you go through, Chalky?
I didn't do any iterations yet because I wanted to make sure we had the right number agreed
Why
upon.
don't you do 4 this time?
So
3.
All right.
I would do 4.
Here we go. All right. So random one.
You don't have to go through each one.
Well, you got the first pick, so I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, but just give the final.
2, 3, and here we go. All right. Order is Chalky, Tommy, Jason, Meeker.
Chalky gets the first pick every draft somehow.
Jason.
Honestly, it's for it to be random. I did it 4 times, and each of us had the first pick once. So.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out that way either. Okay, well, in the absence of time, let's move quickly here. We're doing what, 4 rounds?
Yep.
4 rounds. Chalky, kick us off.
I'll go with the team I took with the second pick last year, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't necessarily know if his team is the second most likely, but I don't want to try to beat the Dodgers, so I'll take the Yankees and go in the AL.
I got to take the Philly.
Me too. Right the back, Leo. Right the back.
We'll go Atlanta, and we'll go the Texas Rangers.
And now this is me. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, that's me. I'm going to go with... I'll come back to Houston.
All right. I guess I have to take the Mets. And I feel like my other picks are going to be longer shots. Let's go with the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, I'll go with the Diamondbacks.
I do like them this year. Or I was not going to pick them. I'm actually glad that the Red Sox are back.
Yeah, I didn't want to go Boston and New York, so
Yeah, give it to me.
back to back, Meeker, for your final two.
We'll go Cubs and Seattle.
Jason, final one.
Oh, Jesus, back to me, huh? I'm going to take the Seattle Mariners.
I just took Seattle.
Yeah.
Then I'm not going to take them.
I
Uh,
Mariners are good.
I'm going to go off the. Maybe I should go by my rankings. I'm going to take. You know what? No, I'll go by my rankings. I got to take the Padres.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go. Jeez. Well, I guess I'll take. I'll take Minnesota. But yeah, I think you winning, but I'll take them.
All right. I will go with the Cincinnati Reds.
I haven't got them on my list. All right, Doc, you want to read your teams quickly?
Well, I was supposed to keep track of this.
Your
I have it. If you want me to do it.
Dodgers, Royals, Mets, and Reds.
Reds. All right, and I got the Yankees, Houston, Arizona, and Minnesota.
I had the Phillies, Orioles, Red Sox, and Padres.
Braves, Rangers, Mariners, and Cubs.
All right, do you think there's a team in there that we do not have that could win the World Series?
Heck, win the World Series? Probably not. But I mean, if you're going to take another team in the AL Central, maybe you take like a Tigers or Guardians. But
I would say the next team of would be the Tigers. Yeah.
I had Tigers or Guardians too. All right, let's move into divisions. We're gonna go right into it, and we will kick it off with the NL East, and we always start off with Jason, so that's what I will do again. But Mika was not on last week, and he has some Phillies thoughts, so we'll let Mika go last, so he can kind of talk a little more on his Phillies points. But Jason, kick us off with the East.
Yeah, so when I started to think about this, I was actually going to take the Braves, but then when I dug deeper into it and I saw that, Strider is probably not going to pitch until at least May, and then, he might be limited. And Acuna, it sounds like Acuna, you're going to take it easy with him this year. If they were fully healthy, I would have went with the Braves. But because they're not, I'm gonna have the Phillies win the division. I'm gonna have the Braves second. I am not a fan of the Mets this year. I don't know what the craziness with the Mets is. That pitching staff is garbage. So I'm slightly going to pick them third, although I'm very tempted to pick the Nationals to beat the Mets. But I'm not. I'm going to stick with the Mets. But I do like the Nationals this year. So I'm going to have them fourth. And then, Miami's just terrible. So Miami's fifth.
All right, and I'll jump in because I actually have the same exact rankings as Jason. Phillies, Atlanta, Mets, Washington, Miami. Yeah, Phillies, I was the same. I wanted to take Atlanta. But maybe I'm fooled by just the way they've been talking in spring training. I know they're doing the same thing like we talked about, like kind of playing it back, whatever. But I don't know the way they're well aware of their kind of the last 3 seasons, how it ended, and I do think they're well aware of why it ended a certain way. Like they're play discipline, not moving runners. Like they talk about it a lot now. I don't remember last year. They probably did the same thing last year too. But it does seem like they have a different mental, approach to this season that, I think will carry through the regular season and into the playoffs. So that's one of the reasons why I moved the Phillies to number 1. Chalky?
I'm exactly the same as you guys, so not really much to add. I mean, the only thing that made me pause a little bit was the Phillies you're getting twice the odds on the Phillies to win the division right now at DraftKings than Atlanta, and I just don't see why it should be that high. So maybe I'm missing something or we're missing something, but yeah, Phillies, Braves, Mets, Nationals, Marlins.
All right, and Meeker, you can give us your picks, and then you can do some elaborations and keep the conversation going.
Yeah, I do have the Braves winning the division. I think top to bottom, when Acuna's healthy, the lineup is probably the best in the National League, and that includes the Dodgers. What I'm saying here, I'm a little concerned with the bottom of their rotation, but they always seem to develop pitchers, so I think they'll figure it out. Their middle relief might be their soft spot, but I do have the Braves winning the division. When it comes to the Phillies, I mean, there's a couple of things I would say, and I know you guys probably touched on a lot of it last week. They're a little left heavy, so I have a little concern about their outfield right now. I don't know if the outfield that they're going to try out there right now is going to be the same outfield by the time the playoffs start. Maybe they'll make a move. A little concerned about their middle relief. I don't know, who's going to take the ball in the ninth, whether that's going to be Romano or that ends up being Kerkering or whatever, like mix and match depending on who's coming up in the lineup. But their rotations are out in all of baseball. I mean, I think they're a really strong rotation. And I think what Jason had mentioned is depending on when these guys come back for the Braves, if the Phillies can make some distance between themselves and the Braves in April and May, I think that could end up leading to them winning the division. I'm not betting on it because I still think the Braves are going to win the division, but I think April and May become pretty important. And I also think that we need a little more power out of Alec Boehm, maybe another 6 or 7 homers. And hopefully all the injuries for Bryson Stott's elbow is behind him, and he steps up because he had a little bit of an off season last year. I'm going to pick the Phillies second. I don't get it. I mean, I know they signed Soto. He's one guy. They didn't really address their rotation. They're starting the year already with injuries in their rotation. And I think they're a lot of hype because they're in New York. And I don't see it with the Mets. I mean, are they an above 500 team? Sure. I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs, but I'm going to pick them third. I agree with Jason. The Nationals are on the come. I think they could be close to a 500 team. Them over the next couple of years. I have them fourth, and of course, the Marlins are in last.
Okay. All right, let's move to the NL Central then, and we'll start with Chalky.
So at even odds, I'd pick the Cubs to win. As far as a bet, I picked them on the draft. I'll take the Reds at plus 650. I don't know that the Cubs are 6 times as likely to win the division than the Reds, at least in my opinion. So I would bet that instead the Cubs win the division. But no odds here. I would go Cubs, Reds, Brewers, Pirates, Cardinals. Cardinals, who knows if Arenado gets traded, they could struggle. Pirates have some young players. Skeens, obviously the big name there. Not going to be enough. And the Brewers always surprise us, but Cubs, Reds, Brewers, Pirates, Cardinals.
And Meeker?
Yeah, I have the Cubs win too. I think they kind of, if they win this division, they won it in the offseason with some of their signings, especially with Bregman, Kyle Tucker. I'm sorry, not Bregman. They lost the Bregman sweepstakes. Kyle Tucker is what I meant to say. So I think that's a big win for the Cubs, and I think they're the best team in the division right now. I got the Brewers finishing second. They didn't do too much in the offseason. They're kind of counting on the return of form for Woodruff and Yelich getting back to the lineup. They're going to be a solid team. I think they'll contend, but I think they'll finish second. I have the Pirates in third. Pirates got a really great young staff, as we know, but their offense is lacking a lot, especially in the outfield. The Reds fourth. I do like their young players, Chalky. Like, I know that you're betting on them. They just don't seem to know where to fit them. They're out of position. A lot of these guys, I really don't know how they're going to make it work. Francona might figure it out, but I got the Reds finishing fourth, and I had the Cardinals finishing in last. And like you said, I fully expect Arenado to be traded at some point in the season.
Yeah, I'm pretty much similar. I got Cubs first, Milwaukee second. I had Reds third, Pirates fourth, and St. Louis fifth. But honestly, when you get 3, 4, I mean even 5, they're to me they're interchangeable. but I do see it 1-2, and I think the Cubs will be one of the divisions that are not a battle down at the end. I think they're going to actually take it kind of easily. Jason?
So I see this a lot differently than you. I'm going with the Reds to win the division. I like their team. I like their young. They got good young lineup. They got a lot of good young players. Their staff. They got some good young pitchers that are going to pitch this year. Have a closer. I'm taking a shot because I'm not crazy about this division at all. I'm not huge on the Cubs. I'm taking a shot against them, and I almost didn't even have them second. I'm just not a big fan of their team this year. I was debating about putting the Pirates ahead of them, but I just don't think the Pirates lineup is good enough. So I'll go Reds, Cubs, Pirates, Brewers. I don't know. To me, they did a lot with smoke and mirrors last year. I'm not a big fan of that team. I have them fourth, and then the Cardinals fifth. I think they're on the downturn. Like you guys said, they'll probably look to move some veterans. But I'll take a shot with the Reds.
All right. All right, we'll go NL West, and I'll go quickly here. Just look up DraftKings, or who we use, DraftKings. Look up the odds of division, and that's the order. Dodgers 1, Arizona 2, San Diego 3, San Fran 4, Colorado 5. That's how I see it. Chalky?
So I'll go a little different. Dodgers obviously 1. I'm gonna go Giants 2, Diamondbacks 3rd, Padres 4th, and Rockies 5th. Padres are still talking about moving guys, so if they don't get up to a hot start, they could be selling way before the deadline. So I'll put the Giants up to 2nd ahead of the Diamondbacks. But I think any of those 3 teams could finish 2nd.
The only thing I'll say, you guys, I think probably I think Chalky mentioned it too. Selling guys. You're already predicting teams that are going to start. Every team that can field 9 guys has a shot at the wild card by the time the trade deadline goes. So the likelihood of unless these teams are the Pirates, these teams that historically just get rid of guys, I don't see people moving like that. So
but here's the thing I said in the Padres. They went to the playoffs last year. It looked like they had a chance to knock off the Dodgers, and then everybody was for sale in the off season, and they made it, and they dealt a couple guys. So I just if that's really the case, because they got a lower payroll, unless they get up to a hot start, I think they're going to sell.
It's hard to sell to fan bases that when your team's one game out of a wild card, you start selling the team. I mean, this ain't the Flyers. These are, I just don't see that as a viable reason myself. Meeker?
Yeah, I have the same order as you, Tom. I'll just elaborate on these teams. Dodgers, look, yes, they'll be very good. Yes, their bullpen's outstanding. They have the best 1-2-3 punch in a lineup in baseball. But, other than Teoscar Hernandez, once you get past that, are they really great? Are they really a great lineup after that? I know that just those guys make them a great lineup, but they're kind of top-heavy in their lineup. All these pitchers, too, you wonder, because they've all at one point had injuries. So you wonder if that's going to creep up on the Dodgers. They do have depth. They have some guys coming back from injuries, but they also lost 2 of their younger pitchers in Gavin Stone and River Ryan, so they won't have that depth. But they're going to win the division. I mean, they're obviously a really good team. I like the Diamondbacks 2nd. I think their rotation's outstanding with the addition of Corbin Burns, and I expect Carroll to bounce back and have a good year. I have the Padres 3rd. I do think we're going to talk about playoffs. I do think they're good enough to make the playoffs, especially if Bogarts returns to some semblance of himself. He had a pretty bad year last year. Giants, I just don't think they have enough to make the playoffs. I got them 4th. They're devoid of any power in that lineup. They've signed Adames, but that was their big sign of the year. They lost a couple of guys too. Rockies are the worst team in the NL aside from the Marlins, so they're going to finish last, of course.
Yep, Jason.
So Meeker, you're lineup wise, I kind of agree with you. I don't think their outfield's that strong, but I think they're still, because they're so top heavy, they're still a solid lineup. Where I don't agree with you is their starting staff even with those injuries, is like still 7 or 8 deep. Like they could throw 7 or 8 starting pitchers at you, and what they're going to do is,
A lot of those guys have injury concerns too coming into the season. Or
I
coming
understand, but if you go with a 7 and 8 man rotation, you could limit everybody to like 130, 40 innings at most for the year.
How much are they going to baby Otani when it comes to
They're
pitching?
going to baby him. They're going to baby Sasaki. They're probably going to baby Yamamoto. They're going to baby Kershaw. They're going to baby their whole staff, but they're deep. They have Gonsolin coming back. They have other guys. They have Miller. That kid Miller's.
Oh, by the way, no one mentioned Blake Snell, who they signed. So
No,
I mean,
All these-
they got 7 or 8 guys that are
not
either former or could be future Cy Young winners.
These guys big names. These guys are all big names, but they all had injuries in their past and are susceptible to injuries.
I got it. But Chalky, I didn't mention him because he was talking about babying people.
No,
They're
they're not going to baby him. No.
He's going to pitch almost 200 innings probably. So
Yeah, but Meeker, you're also. It's like the game. It's like teams that tank to get draft picks. Like you're not going to hit on every draft pick, but you have the most opportunity to get. So when you have 7 or 8 guys, like you're almost saying the plane has to crash. Like if one guy goes down, they still got 6. If 2 guys go down, they have the odds in their favor. They have the numbers in their favor that they can sustain it. Where a team like, I don't want to use the Phillies, but another team gets one injury and it could devastate their staff. So so that's where they have
Braves.
Well, the big thing with the Dodgers, again, like I'm picking them to win the division. I'm not saying just trying to poke at it a little bit because I want to, but in the end, they signed 3 former closers this offseason. 3. So their bullpen is so deep that they don't really need to go more than 5 innings in a start. They can try out a closer in the 6th, 7th, and 8th and 9th inning. And that's what separates them a little bit from the pack when it comes to their pitching staff as a whole.
Yeah, and they treat their regulars. They like they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. So they're going to baby these pitchers early in the season. They're going to limit their injury, so they're ready. You saw it last year, and then they'll just throw out their game 1 starters or not even got they're going to be tough.
Yeah.
They're going to be tough.
Now, going on, I do like the Diamondbacks a lot. So I got the Diamondbacks second. I like them a lot. We're going to talk about them when we get to my playoff scenario because I think there's some really important things for the Phillies that I foresee happening, and I'll get to that. The Padres, I drafted them. I still think they're solid. They got a solid staff. They got Tatis, they got Machado, they got Bogarts, who was bad last year, but they got Merrill. I mean, they got some players, so they're a nice team still. Giants, I don't know. I don't think they have enough. 4th, and then Rockies are just, they're like the Marlins. They're just bad.
I mean, the Marlins and the Rockies, and I think I saw the White Sox. They're plus 25,000 to win the division. That's like. There's not teams to win the Super Bowl that are that. The fact, that's insane.
Yeah, and even like Oakland or whatever, they're not even, I don't think they're called Oakland. They're just called the Athletics this year, right? They're not, there's no city behind it.
Not that we want to spend any time on the Rockies, but it's a real problem, when you're playing out there and any pitcher wanting to come to play with to play on your team. And no matter if you're drafting these guys high in the draft, still, it doesn't make a difference. They're not going to succeed. It's just a place that pitchers can't succeed, and the team can't succeed when no pitcher wants to go play for that team.
Yeah.
So do we want to give our wild cards and then move over to the AL? Or
Oh, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, so, Jason, you kick us off. Just give your 3 division winners, obviously, even though we just heard it, and then say your wild cards.
So Dodgers, Phillies, and Reds, and then I have Braves, Diamondbacks, Padres.
Okay, so I'll go second because pretty similar. So I had Phillies, Dodgers, Cubs, but my wild card were Arizona, Atlanta, and Padres, San Diego. So, same. Meeker?
Yeah, Braves, Cubs, Cubs, Dodgers, and your wild cards are Phillies, Diamondbacks, and Padres.
Okay, so similar. And Chalky.
Phillies, Cubs, Dodgers, Braves, Mets, Reds.
Texas Chalky is a little bit some different. All right, so let's move to the AL East. And Meeker, we did not let you go first yet, so kick off the AL East.
All right, so I have the Yankees winning the division. I don't think they're going to win easily, though. They losing Soto is a big loss, but they made some obviously good moves otherwise, which I thought was better for them than signing Soto. You know, they bring in Fried, Goldschmidt, Devin Williams, Bellinger. I wouldn't be surprised if they also trade for Arenado to get their third base situation taken care of. I'm not sure they're a great team, but I think they're the best team in the division, so I'm going to take the Yankees. Red Sox in second. I think they had a great offseason with Crochet, Bueller, Bregman, to mix in with some of the really good young talent they have in that team, and some of it's on its way and not on the team yet. I think Duran's a stud. I think he's one of the best players in the American League right now. The Orioles are third. A little disappointed in their offseason. I think they needed to keep Burns or sign a starter. I don't think their staff's good enough. Their rotation's a little bit light. They get their closer back, but I think they're like an 86, 87 win team in a tough division like this. Blue Jays fourth. I would say they might be a sneaky team to watch this year. A lot of guys had some rough seasons last year that were not customary of their career, like Jett, Springer, and Bassett. They can put it all together. They'll contend, but I think if it goes south early, you might see them trade Vladdy. That's another guy that you might see get traded this year. And the Rays, I have them coming in fifth. I don't really have a good feel for them this year. They're in a really tough division, and they're just very average lineup wise and rotation wise.
All right, Chalky.
So I'm going back to the Orioles. I agree that they have some really big potential issues with the pitching staff, but I love their lineup. A lot of young players, a lot of room for them to make another step forward. So I'm going to take the Orioles to win the division. Yankees second, Boston third. I agree with Meeker. Blue Jays fourth, Tampa fifth. Tampa's playing in a minor league stadium this year because they don't have the dome. How much does that affect? Who knows? But
Breeze too, like in the summertime.
yeah, I mean it's really switching from a pitcher's park to a hitter's park. So they didn't build the team for that. Who knows? But at the bottom neither of the bottom two teams make the playoffs, so figure it out. But Orioles, Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Tampa.
Jason.
Yeah, I'm the same as Chalky. I really like Baltimore this year, and so one thing kind of I didn't like hearing, and I heard it like maybe a half hour before the podcast, was Grayson Rodriguez is going to start the year on the DL with a tricep issue. Not good. And I actually had him as one of my Cy Young picks, which I'm not going to give anymore. But, like Chalky said, that lineup is really good, and they have depth, and they could make a move for a starter at some point during the season.
When did they get Bradish back? Like mid-season, possibly?
Yeah, I think he should be back. And then, like you said, they got Batista back. They're lockdown closer. So I like them this year. I like them a lot. I'm going with them. I'm going with the Yankees. I mean, Yankees will be there again. I just like Baltimore a little better. I think Boston will be right there with the Yankees. And then I agree with you guys, Blue Jays and Rays. I don't think either of them make noise. So
Yeah. So I think this, could argue best division in baseball. I don't know the NL East, the NL West, but I think the top three teams here are better than the top three of those divisions. I'm like Beaker. I think the same. I had the Yankees winning the division. I had Boston second, Baltimore third, and then Toronto fourth, and Tampa fifth. So I think that was the same as Meeker. But I can see any agree that
nothing to brag about.
Oh, I mean, baseball is a sport. If you're going to be with Meeker, that's the right
yeah,
way.
in fantasy race here.
I get it.
The thing about the Red Sox is that they have two guys in their minor league system that might end up being starters by the end of the year. So, I mean, what they have right now might not be the same team that we see at the end of the year. They're going to improve as the season goes along, as long as he's
Yeah,
going to.
I like them, sure.
And it's just time for like New York, Boston to come back. You know, like I don't know, Boston's been kind of irrelevant now for a few years. It's just their time. All right, Central, AL Central. We're back to Jason.
So I'm gonna go with the Tigers to win this division this year. They got some, good young staff. Well, Skubal might be the best pitcher in baseball, or top 3 anyway. They got some young players, that are all those years of being bad and drafting high. These guys are finally, coming up and ready to play. So, yeah, I don't like this division at all. Almost by default, I'm going with them. Royals second. They have a nice staff. They, obviously Witt is top 5 player already in baseball. He's unbelievable, that kid. So, got some good young hitters too. So, Royals second. I think the Guardians did a lot with like smoke and mirrors last year. I saw some stats on them where they won like the most games in baseball with the lowest. I can't even explain the stat I saw, but it was basically
Lowest probability of winning the game.
like a luck type stat, like type thing. So, I don't know. I think they fall back to, maybe slightly above 500 this year. Nothing special. Twins, I don't know. I'm not really into them this year. I guess they have a few good pitchers. They got if Royce Lewis stays healthy, I really like him. He could be a superstar. So, I mean, maybe they can make noise in the division. And the White Sox are obviously awful, but it's a division where, I mean, I don't know. I guess arguably both Central divisions are bad, right? I just think this one might be the worst division in baseball.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just gonna go through it. I have Minnesota 1, Detroit 2, Kansas City 3, Cleveland 4, and Chicago 5. Top 4 could all win it. I mean, this is yeah. Just look at the odds. I mean, if you look at odds, they're the top 4 closest. Minnesota's plus 210, Cleveland's plus 300. I mean, that's the top. It's the highest and lowest of the 4. So obviously Vegas doesn't have a great feel as well. Meeker?
Yeah, and what's funny, 3 of these teams actually made the playoffs last year, but we're still calling it the weakest division in baseball. But it is, I mean, on paper, at least at this moment. And you're right. I mean, I just like throw a dart at these 4 teams and whatever it lands on, and I just landed on the Royals really in my head to win the division, mainly because I think their staff is the best in the division, and they have, one of the best players in the sport in Bobby Witt. So I think they can eke it out and win the division. The Tigers second. To me, like Jason was saying, they're the most intriguing team in this division because they have the best pitcher in the American League, and they have guys that are young that might be taking that leap, which might enable them to win the division. No one in their starting lineup is over 28 years old. So they're a very young team. Which means it could go either way. They had a crazy second half last year, so they saw some promise in them, but I have them second. Twins, probably the best lineup in the division, which isn't saying much, but I'm not sold that they're much better than what they were last year when they petered out in September and didn't make the playoffs. The Guardians, I don't think you lose a 100 RBI guy and you're okay with that. They lose Naylor, so that's a big loss. Ramirez is one of the best players in baseball, but he doesn't have the same protection in the lineup. Their starting rotation is very average. So, yeah, I think it was a little bit of an aberration last year with Cleveland. And, of course, the worst team in baseball is the White Sox. They'll finish last.
Chalky?
Royals, Tigers, Guardians, Twins, White Sox.
So, Mika, you said that 3 of these teams made the playoffs last year. Do you think, and anybody, do you guys think that the fact that the division is so close is why the teams like this could all, it's not, you don't have a runaway, you don't have a team that's .750, winning percentage in the division. All the teams are kind of close, so they don't beat each other up as much, keep the records fairly, intact, and help them with these wild cards. Whereas were they the teams that were better than the other teams last year?
I just think that, you had some teams that we thought were going to be better teams like Seattle and weren't. You have a team like this year, like Boston, who's much better than they were last year, and realistically, that was the reason. I mean, yeah, part of what you're saying is true because there's no dominant team there. So all of them can win between like 83 and 87, 88 games and make a playoff run. But, when you had the Mariners and even the Astros and Texas being an off year too last year, and the Rangers are much better. I think that's the reason why we still look at it like, oh, they're still the worst division of baseball, although they had 3 playoff winners.
All right, good point. All right, AL West to finish it off, and we'll start with you, Chalky.
Astros, Mariners, Rangers. Who cares? Angels, Athletics.
Yeah, I will go second. I have Houston, Texas, Seattle, Angels, and as I learned today, Athletics. I didn't know that you couldn't call them open yet. You didn't know you couldn't call them open.
Just the Athletics.
Yeah. Well, that they do no longer play in Oakland. So.
And Jason.
So I'm gonna go with Texas to win the division, and Seattle. I'm kind of against Houston this year. I'm gonna take a shot against them this year. I do have them third, and then Angels and eighth.
Yeah, and Meeker.
Yeah, I like the Rangers. I think their lineup lefty is really, really scary. I wouldn't be surprised if 4 or 5 guys in that lineup hit 30 home runs this year. I mean, DeGrom coming back is going to be huge. He has to stay healthy, and he can't miss a ton of starts. I think they also need to add a legit closer, but I do like them to win the division. Mariners second. I think they whiffed this offseason because they didn't spend any money on landing any power or any bats. And they should have, because I think their staff is top 3 in baseball. They have one of the best young players in baseball in Julio Rodriguez, but the rest of the lineup is average at best. But they win games because of pitching. I have the Astros third. I'm with Jason. Christian Walker and Isak Paradis are not Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman. I think the Astros take a step back and they don't make the playoffs, which I guess I'll give away here.
Altuve is done now. Like, he's basically not even a starter anymore.
He's playing left field.
Oh, they put him in left field? I knew they took him out of second base.
Yep, they're playing him in left field. So they're still solid and make it interesting, but I'm starting to see the beginning of the end in the Astro dominance in this division and in American League in general. It's kind of like what happened with the Phillies towards the end of their run. This is kind of what I feel about Houston. Then you have the Athletics in fourth, playing in Sacramento this year. And the Angels, which are still a mess of a franchise, the only thing that I would question about them is if they're going to trade Mike Trout before the deadline or at the deadline. Maybe the Phillies.
All right. Yeah, one thing I found was DeGrom was like 4th in Cy Young, and when I was writing down.
When he's healthy, I mean, he's awesome.
All right, well, just forgot about him. So it was interesting. All right, let's we'll go back to Jason. Your 3 division winners and your 3 wild card.
So I have, in no particular order, because I don't know 1, 2, 3, but Orioles, Tigers, and Rangers for the division winners. And then I have Yankees, Red Sox, and Mariners as my wild card.
Okay, I have Yankees, Minnesota, and Houston. Then for my wild card, I have Boston, Texas, and Baltimore. So 3 out of the NL East. Meeker?
Yeah, Yankees, Rangers, and Royals, division winners. Red Sox, Mariners, and Orioles, wild card.
Okay, and Chalky.
Orioles, Royals, Astros are your division winners. Your wild card is Yankees, Red Sox, and Tigers.
Okay. So now, where did you want to take I kind of stopped at playoffs myself, but did you have Jason? I know.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go into playoffs now. Jason, you said you had some interesting or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's face it. The Dodgers are going to win 100 games, and they're going to be the number 1 seed. I think it's to utmost importance for the Phillies to win the division.
Yeah.
And to be the second seed. Because at all costs, I want to avoid Arizona in the playoffs. And if Arizona is just say, Braves or Arizona at 4 or 5, they're going to be 4 or 5, I think, in the playoff seeding, right? The winner of that is going to play the Dodgers, right? Because the Dodgers are automatically the number 1 seed. So you kind of have to hope Arizona doesn't fall to like the 6th seed, right? You want them to kind of be the 4 or 5, and the Phillies to avoid them in the playoffs and let them beat each other up. I do not want to play that Arizona team in the playoffs this year. I think they're tough. So the way I have it is I have the Dodgers playing Arizona. I have the Phillies playing the Padres. I don't know if the Reds could win the division, but I don't know if they're gonna go any further than that. And then I have the Phillies and Dodgers in the NLCS. I just don't, as much as I would love to pick the Phillies in that series, I don't know who's beating this Dodgers team. So Dodgers.
Okay. Chalky, what did you see in the NL?
Championship series would be the same. I mean, honestly, if the Phillies win the division, I'm not worried about a matchup. It's not. I'm the one that doesn't have Arizona in the playoffs, so they don't scare me. I think they're a fraud. But nonetheless, of course I want to pick the Phillies, but yes, the Dodgers. I'll have some exactas with the Phillies in the World Series and possibly winning with two AL teams I have for that championship series. But I mean, you got to take the Dodgers.
Meeker?
I wholeheartedly agree with Jason with what he said, but the problem is I don't have the Phillies winning the division, which means that in my wild card matchup, I have the Phillies playing the Diamondbacks, and I actually have them losing. And I have the Padres beating the Cubs in the first round of the wild card. And the divisional, I had the Diamondbacks beating the Dodgers and the Braves over the Padres for an LCS of Braves and Diamondbacks with the Braves winning it.
It's a crazy one. So the Phillies chance to beat the Dodgers probably depends on the rotation, right? I mean, you see Sanchez in the spring training, he's throwing 97, 98. His slider looks good shape. Like, could the Phillies rotation at playoff time, say it's a Wheeler, Sanchez, or the new guy, Nola, could that equalize them with the Dodgers when it comes to, a playoff season?
Equalize with other teams before that, because I don't know, they're not going to play the Dodgers unless they get to the NLCS. But that's what you're asking. Sure.
Well, what other team in the
Yeah,
NL
but
is going to be
when they play the
as good as
season, they
that?
don't just use Meeker's predictions as like the season's over. So let's just say, all right, some chance,
Almost
1 in a million chance you're wrong. Like,
Listen, for me,
and they do play the Dodgers.
for me, I mean, the Dodgers are just so strong. But okay, Ohtani, maybe he gets hurt. I mean, he got hurt 2 years ago. Like, he gets hurt, right? Maybe.
I mean, even last year he was hurt in the playoffs here.
Yeah, exactly. Right, he got hurt, right? Even if he does get hurt, now that weakens their lineup. But then they got Sasaki and they got Yamamoto and they got Snell. Like, they just come at you in waves. Like, so maybe the lineup. You hate to say because if anybody gets hurt, but right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, they're so strong that you know how it is with betting, Tom, right? Like, you could see the best team out there, but is there value on that team because of injuries, right? I mean, is there value on the odds of picking the Dodgers to win because of injuries? If I'm taking injuries out of the equation and I'm just doing my predictions here, I'm gonna pick the Dodgers. If I'm placing bets, I already had bets on the Phillies.
Yeah.
I have bet on the Diamondbacks. I
I
would
mean, you're talking plus 170 for the Dodgers to win the NL versus plus
would
650 for the Phillies.
Yeah, I would never. I would never bet the Dodgers to win the NL. What I would do is I would do my crazy parlays with the Dodgers to win the World Series, with Scotty Scheffler to win the Maple Leaf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then get value that way. But I would never straight just bet the Dodgers.
And the only thing with the Dodgers too is, to your point that, and we talked about earlier, they have injury insurance because of the depth they have in the rotation.
Their rotation is insane. And we didn't even mention Kershaw. He's supposed to be pitching middle. You know what I mean? They got that Miller guy who is crazy talented.
I mean, I'd almost, say, but I would be fine playing the Dodgers in a 5-game series because anything can happen in the shorter series, and over a 7-game series, even getting that one extra win against that rotation is going to be tough if they're not down 3 or 4 guys. So
the Major League Baseball playoffs is so unpredictable. I mean, I understand, everyone obviously is in love with the Dodgers this year, but as we've seen many times, the teams that are hot going into the playoffs are the ones that end up making these runs. And I'm just picking against them not because I want to. It's just that, I look at the Braves lineup versus the Dodgers lineup. I think the Braves lineup is better than the Dodgers. And I think if you're in a series where you're not really going to your 5th pitcher, going to the Braves rotation 1 through 4, they match up.
Let me ask you this, Meeker. All right, so say Strider is babied this year, right? Say they only want him pitching 100 innings and all. What their rotation other than Strider, like
Chris
they
Hill,
need
Cy Young winner.
is
Yeah,
Salem.
can you trust his arm to hold up for him?
I can't we got lucky where he
We can't not trust it. He won the Cy Young last year. Then you have Lopez, and then you have Schwellenbach, who had a really good second half. He's a young pitcher.
I don't trust Lopez at all. I'll give you Schwellenbach. I think he's pretty good.
I don't know. The Braves. They just manufacture these pitchers. So if something was,
I don't know about that because I was looking at because I'm looking for the draft that we have coming up. I was looking at their prospects. They're like ranked like 27th or something. Like they're not the Braves that we're used to anymore. So they don't that endless stream of prospects coming up, and I don't know about that anymore. So that's my question with them. Like maybe next year when these guys are back and healthy, like Strider's ready to pitch, 180 innings and Acuna, but
they'd be smart to hold him out as long as they're in it. As long as they're not falling behind the Phillies by like 5 or 6, 7 games, they'd be smart to hold him out because then it'd be stronger towards the end of the year. So I agree that you're not going to get 7 innings out of him every start, but if he's healthy enough to go 7 innings by the playoff time, he's the best pitcher in the National League or one of them. So
just I don't know. I just don't think this year that they're ready for that.
okay, we'll see.
All right, let's move over to the AL. And Chalky, did you want to lay out a little class scenario for that?
I'll give you my championship series. I've got Orioles and Royals in the championship series, and I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Meeker.
All right, so wild card, I have Orioles over the Royals, Red Sox over the Mariners, and divisional, I have the Red Sox beating the Yankees and the Rangers over the Orioles. The LCS, Rangers over the Red Sox. So Rangers, Braves, World Series.
And Jason.
I'm just going to give you the ALCS. I have the Orioles beating the Red Sox.
Okay. And then are you guys ready to give out a winner, a championship? Jason, keep it going.
Kind of know who I'm going to pick. I mean,
Or if 7 of their pitchers were to get hurt.
if 7 of their pitchers get hurt, then you'd be short.
Everyone's overblowing that lineup too. 3, but that's all right.
Meeker,
Dodgers.
you have Texas versus Braves.
Braves over Rangers, yeah, in the World Series.
Braves over Rangers. Got it. And Meeker
Chalky.
or Chalky. You left this.
Well, I took the Dodgers #1, so I'll take them to win. But I would bet the Orioles at 17-1.
To me, Chalky at the World Series.
Dude, it was the line earlier on me. I'm just saying. So yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a season that has created the Dodgers have created value, right? If you want to say that for like Beaker, Chalky said, Baltimore is what 17-1 to win. Like there's these teams to win the World Series. Like, you know, you got plus 170, and then what's the plus 750 is the second team in the Braves to win the World Series. So, I mean, you got value. It's just a question of if the Dodgers can lose, I guess. Okay. Let's before we wrap this up, a couple of awards that we usually talk about. We'll start with the Cy Young. I know you guys mentioned you don't want to disclose every pick due to sort of contractual obligations with other leagues, but Jason, Cy Young, AL, Cy Young, NL.
Yeah, I'll give the awards, and then at the end, I have a couple of teams win totals. I wanted to.
Okay.
So NL. So this is going to be the biggest shot I'm going to take. Oh no, actually, I have more shots, but NL, I'm going to withhold one. We have a draft coming up, and I don't want either of these two stealing people. I might withhold two. How's that? And I'll come back in a couple of weeks, and I'll give them. So I'm going to give you out.
Hold on, these names got to be written down in a hermetically sealed envelope. So if their elbow goes out tomorrow, we can't pull it off the table. But go ahead.
They're written, so you'll see this exactly.
Like we can read. You can't read your own writing in front of you. We can read it on a monitor.
Yeah. I'm going to take Alcantara. I'm going to take a shot. 25-1. Probably not. He's probably going to be limited, but he's such a good pitcher. 25-1. I have to take a shot there. Mackenzie Gore at 50-1. I thought that was kind of interesting. Kind of like the Nationals were a bit this year, so I'll take a shot. Luzardo should win a lot of games with this Phillies team. 75-1. I mean, I've seen worse bets than that. And then I'm going to withhold two guys, and I'll give you my Zach Gallen, this guy I gave you last year, 30-1, because I like the Diamondbacks a lot this year. So, and I'll give you two guys in a couple of weeks.
All right, we'll keep the NL going. How about you, Meeker? Do you have picks, or are we believe?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, NL Cy Young, I like Corbin Burns at plus 1,200. So 12-1 on Burns.
Chalky?
Since I currently don't have Gallen on my fantasy team, I'm off of him temporarily, but come back to me after the draft. So I have three NL actually. Look, if Wheeler keeps pitching the way he is, I think he's got to get it at some point. So he's plus 750. I also have Alcantara at plus 250, like Jason said, or plus 2,500, excuse me. And the other one I'm going to take, I thought he'd be much higher odds, but maybe there's something to it. I have Sanchez at plus 4,000.
And then Skeens is the favorite. Is he going to be limited this year, or they letting him loose?
I think he'll let him roll.
All right, Jason, how about the AL? I think you could talk more on AL. Right?
I could. Now, I had two guys, and like I said, Grayson Rodriguez was one of them. He was 30-1 on FanDuel. And I already bet him, but I don't like hearing triceps starting the year on the DL. I don't like all that. So I wouldn't recommend that. I would take a shot on Max Fried at 25-1 with the Yankees. I think he could win a lot of games there. Really good pitcher. New league, so guys haven't seen him as much. 25-1. I think that's good odds.
Meeker?
Yeah, my pick for AL Cy Young is Garrett Crochet. I think he's plus 600 when I wrote it down. I don't know if that's changed, but that's just my pick for it. So
It's a lot of value in it.
just my pick. I'm not going for like who would I bet otherwise. I'm just telling you what I pick.
It's a betting podcast, so it's
Tonight it is.
gotcha.
Chalky?
I looked at Max Fried as well, but I'm going to go with the ace on the Yankees instead. Cole is 16-1, so I'll take Cole.
Okay, how about I guess we'll go to MVP in the NL. Jason, any?
As a homer pick, I took Harper at 15-1. But honestly, if Ohtani does not get hurt, there's no way.
So how does he get? I guess this isn't the first time he gets judged just on his hitting, on his pitching. I don't.
Both.
MVP.
Both.
Yeah.
So if he's healthy, how does he not win the MVP?
Yeah, it's tough. Meeker.
I just don't think it's worth talking about because, like you said, if he's healthy, he's going to win, especially now that he's pitching. So that's my pick for NL MVP.
So yeah, we'll just ask another question. Chalky.
Two players ahead. Betts 12-1 and De La Cruz at 20-1.
Okay, so Ohtani's plus 170. So does that? Are you getting like value on Soto at 550, Tatis at 8-1, Betts at 12-1 because of that, or is it still kind of not great value? Like Tatis at 8-1 is basically because Ohtani's that much more of a
I don't think there's value on those guys because the only way Ohtani doesn't win is if he gets hurt, but there's still not value on betting those guys at those numbers. Like Chalky De La Cruz, I think there's value on. Right? Because he could just be a superstar and he could have like an insane, 70 steals and, 30 home runs and like Acuna type numbers.
So it's Ohtani or like bombs away.
Yeah. Now I give you Harper because, he hasn't had a full season in a couple years. Maybe he has a year where he hits 300 with 40 home runs and the Phillies win the division.
I think you're better off betting against him in categories, like betting against him for home run leader or betting against him for RBIs or something like that. You can get that stuff on DraftKings. But overall,
you can do my home run leaders at some point.
Right.
So,
all right. Well, let's in the actual call, let's move a little faster here. AL, Jason MVP.
Two guys, Meeker mentioned the one, Julio Rodriguez. I bet him at 30-1. He's now 20-1. And then Jose Ramirez, just year after year, has unbelievable years. And 20-1. And just take a step back. I think Judge is one of those guys who gets hurt a lot. He didn't get hurt last year. I think he's due to get hurt. He's have an injury type season. So if he doesn't get hurt, he's probably going to be MVP.
Yeah, Witt's close to him though. I mean, it's Judge's.
I love Witt, and I bet him last year, but I don't like the value of 5-1 or
4.5-1. Meeker.
Yeah, I have Rodriguez, and I have him at 21. So you got a good.
And Chalky.
Yeah, I got the two best players on the two teams I picked to be the best. So Witt at 4.5-1 and Gunnar Henderson at 750.
All right. So we did Cy Young, we did MVP. I'm not going to go through every award, so I'll let Jason, if you did have anything outside of those we wanted to give before we go.
I'll give a rookie of the year for each league, and then I have a couple of stats guys. So I'm going to take Matt Shaw for rookie of the year in the National League. He's going to play. He's going to be the starter for the Cubs. 4.5-1 is not any value, but you're asking me to give you a pick. And then Jacob Wilson for the American League at 15-1. They're not the Oakland A's anymore. The A's. The guy has hit 400 in the minor leagues, like his minor league career.
So for clarity, where did you get the 15-1 from?
Handle.
Okay, yeah, because he's 8-1 on DraftKings. So
yeah, I
got to look around for that.
He's fit. Yeah, and I search around for that stuff. You want me to go on my stats?
Yeah, go. And he's got.
So I'll give you 3 home run guys. And the one guy, Brent Rooker, who's 30-1 on DraftKings, he's playing in like a minor league stadium this year. That Sacramento is like a minor league stadium. It's like a Pacific League stadium where there's 1 million runs scored. Supposedly, like it's like a launching pad. I mean, I think he's a guy who could maybe Judge gets hurt and this guy hits 40-something home runs and, a 30-1, take a shot. Yordan Alvarez, I always got to take a shot on him at 20-1. He's just a monster. And then Jose Ramirez and FanDuel's 55-1. Wins. Again, I'm going to withhold one guy. Max Fried is 50-1 on ESPN for wins. He can't. I mean, on the Yankees, he can't win like 17 games. Zach Gallen 30-1, Yamamoto 35-1, Luzardo's 100-1. And then strikeouts, 3 guys, Hunter Green 22-1, Cole Reagan's 25-1, and then one guy I'm going to withhold.
Chalky, I will let you go because
This is like the Epstein files with all the redactions that are.
I'll listen. Come back to me in a couple weeks. I mean, I got some eyes on the line.
It
I got
works.
some eyes watching the YouTube.
But Chalky, I'll let you go. You were making face. Jay said Alvarez. You made a face.
All right, so home runs, Alvarez, Rooker, and I also have Olsen at plus 3,000.
I do like Olsen. I like that. I like that.
Stolen bases, Witt at 18-1. And the only other bet I have is strikeouts at chalk, but Skeens at 4-1. He's got ridiculous movement on our power pitch, so yeah, 4-1.
Meeker.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple of categories. So Olsen with the home runs, 30-1. Saves, Bautista, 25-1. Devin Williams also, 12-1. Strikeouts, Logan Gilbert, 28-1. I like that. And then you can do those trifectas of how they finish in the division. In the NL Central, Chicago, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh is plus 1,300. In the AL Central, KC, Detroit, Minnesota is plus 1,200. The Rangers over the Braves in the World Series is plus 10,000, and the Braves over the Rangers is plus 6,000. And I think that covers, NL Rookie of the Year, Bubba Chandler, plus 900, and Jace Young in the American League, plus 1,800. Those are both Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I didn't mention it because it's not a bet 'em, but of the top guys in the NL, I would take Cruz on Washington.
He's still right. He's still NL. He's eligible for
Yes.
Yeah.
Either that or they're offering bets on him to steal your money, but yes.
Yeah, the rookie of the year gets tricky.
He played a bunch last year, but not enough.
He's eligible.
Does the rookie of the year? I mean, you guys follow close. Has it been guys that start on the roster on opening day?
Necessarily.
No,
No,
it doesn't
I mean,
have to,
Skeen
but with
Was
history,
the example.
with the last trend. Has it been guys on MLB roster day?
Well, you can bet Roman Anthony. He's not starting yet.
Right.
He's
Gonna ask it one more time.
What
With
would you
the trend, has it been guys that have
No.
started on MLB? I mean,
it's rare for Paul Skeens to do what he did last year. So, like, the guy like I gave you, Shaw, who's going to be starting third baseman for the Cubs, and he's going to get 450 at bats or 500 at bats, whatever. He's going to play. If he has a decent season.
But it used to be the problem with that was always that rule that, they were trying to keep service time at a certain level, and guys, they would bring them up in like May, even though they should have been on the roster in April. That's gone now. So a lot of these guys play from the start of the season because they're not worried about service time. So, but I mean, I don't know if the trend would say that guys starting the season are more likely to win Rookie of the Year. I would have to research.
because you would figure guys that are projected not to be on MLB are going to have bigger odds than short guys that are obviously starting.
Yeah. I mean, Skeens came up later than even what Meek was talking about, where they would hold him out for the first month. Just going back in the NL, Carroll was up the whole year. Harris came up in May or June, I think, and then just lit it up. That wasn't a good year. India, Devin Williams, Alonso played the whole year. Acuna played that whole year. So
Mostly,
and then looking at AL, Gill, Henderson, Rodriguez, Rosarena, Lewis, those guys were all Alvarez. I think they were all up to start the year. So
Didn't Chris Bryant win Rookie of the Year they did that? He had to hold out for like the first month or something like that.
He did. I'm looking here. So 2015, yeah, he did win. I always remember the third baseman on the Rays, whose name I can't think of now.
Longoria?
Longoria, yeah. He was one of them, and
David Price, did he win Rookie of the Year or no?
he did not. Wait, no, that's the NL.
Yeah. So I mean, more than likely, it's going to be a guy starting on day one. But
No,
Well,
he was a rookie the same year Longoria was. Longoria won.
look for guys that maybe aren't, because you can make these wagers during the season. So, maybe get an idea after the rosters come out and who to keep an eye on and take a shot on somebody, because their odds are going to be longer, obviously.
Yeah.
So, just something to think about. All right. Anything else from anybody on 2025 MLB preview before we sign off?
No.
A little housekeeping. Next week we're gonna record on Wednesday because we are covering the Players Championship of golf. Hopefully, I have a special guest for that episode. And then we have a couple, I think, horse races after that. But
We're thinking maybe trivia in a couple weeks if Meeker would be okay with that.
Yeah, I'll do
so a possibility. But next week is the Players. But other than that, that was episode 148 of Broad Street Hustle. Have a great night.